In this video, I'm going to answer 20 of the best questions clothing brand owners have asked me over the past year on this YouTube channel. Everything from marketing to manufacturing to designs and your brand concept. I've been running my own brand for the past 8 years. I've had $70,000 months for my brand and done well over $1 million in sales. And I started my brand from the ground up, no special advantages and nothing special to leverage. So on this channel, I talk about everything real here, all of the mistakes, all of the real struggles. So let's jump into it. The first question is from Rachel Summers. She asks, hi, how did you find your vendor or manufacturer? The first 2 manufacturers that we worked with completely screwed us, and they almost ended up in a legal battle. It was that bad. We decided that we didn't want to go overseas for our inventory because of turnaround times and just tricky communication, and instead we wanted to have fast turnaround times and somebody that we could work with closely local to us. So we went with a screen printing facility local to us. The way that we found these were literally just through hopping on Google and Googling screen printing Toronto. We found a screen printing facility, and instead of screening them, ironically, we were so excited about our idea that we just jumped into business with them. And what ended up happening was they took way too long to make our clothing. It ended up taking like 3 months when they said it was only going to take 2 weeks. They printed half the batch wrong. We ended up getting into all these arguments about it, and it was absolutely horrible. But finally, we landed on a sick screen printing facility called Astro Screen Printing in Toronto. We actually got to meet the owners multiple times. The communication was amazing on email and phone calls, and I could show up to the back to pick up the orders and we'd hang out and chat. And that's the type of relationship that we wanted to have. We knew that they'd prioritize us and that they'd work with us closely and that they took us seriously, and that's how we found our manufacturer. Second question from Dustin Murphy 82 Able. What kind of t-shirts and hoodies do you use? When we first started up our brand, we were locked into using a company called HS Apparel. They're a company out of Quebec. They have really high quality blanks. If you want a really high quality blank t-shirt for like a streetwear brand and really nice hoodies that are raglan style like this is actually an HS Apparel hoodie that I'm wearing right now, where the seams aren't across the shoulder, but it's more of this raglan style that fits everybody really well. I highly recommend checking out HS Apparel for hoodies, tees, and tanks. Since then, we ended up working way more closely with our screen printing facility, and we used all style tees, all style tanks, and our hoodies are just like Hero 2020 hoodies. If you're looking for a really good hoodie to use for your brand that will probably work really well for almost every single brand, check out Just Like Hero 2020. Next question is, how do you get your product pics like yours on your site with no model, just the clothing? What she's referring to here are the product mockups on our website, like the ones that I'm showing you right now, of our hoodies, of our tees, of our tanks, that have a really consistent look without the models in them, and they look really clean. I did all of this on Photoshop through using images that I found through Google and through also taking photos of our products like our tees and our tanks on just a flat white floor, and then using the magic wand tool to remove all of the background, and then just touching it up, little details, zooming really closely in on each of the products and just making sure that the edges are really smooth, making sure that there's a transparent background and it's exported in PNG rather than JPEG. And then when you're uploading them to your site, make sure that each product is uploaded in the exact same container that the other one was. So if it's a square and the ratio is 1:1, make sure that all of your products are uploaded in the exact same sizing so that they all look the exact same on your site. But if you just take your time taking pictures from the top down, you make sure you iron it so that everything looks really, really good, you'll be able to do this relatively easily for your own brand using Photoshop. Golden Lux Boutique says, why is it hard to get the influencers? I've been trying forever. Well, there's a lot of potential reasons why it's been really hard for you to get influencers to support your brand. Most likely, your brand isn't staged well enough yet that when influencers check out your brand, it looks like something that they want to stick their neck out to support. By the time that you approach influencers with, say, a free hoodie or a free t-shirt, just asking to send it to them, your brand should already be structured and looking good enough and credible enough that when you show it to them, they're going to be stoked that you reached out. That's how I ended up getting on dozens of influencers for my own brand, was when I reached out to the very first one, our website was already good enough and our Instagram already had pictures of people enough to create a cool enough vibe that when we reached out to them, they thought it looked really cool, and they weren't just like gonna support some brand that had nobody watching them, nobody following them, and no customers already. So before you reach out to the influencers, just make sure that everything is staged as well as you possibly can on your Instagram, on your TikTok, on your website, and so that when you reach out, the impression's really good. Also, make sure that the size of the influencers that you're reaching out to are reasonable and realistic based on the size of your current brand. So if you've only got 1,000 followers on Instagram and you're just starting up and you shoot a Hail Mary to Justin Bieber, that guy's getting hit up 24/7 and he's probably never going to answer you. But if you reach out to some micro influencers with 50,000 or 100,000 followers who are maybe on a great trajectory, and you can get a photo of them wearing it, and maybe 2 or 3 years from now, they've got like millions, that looks like something that's much more reasonable for you to pull off. Next question's from Growther88. Those keychains are so awesome. Who makes those for y'all? The keychains that he's referring to here are the keychains for Gym Rats Club. I made a video doing an unboxing showing a brand called Gym Rats Club who had a really great unboxing experience. And I don't know exactly where they got their keychains made, but I will tell you that Sticker Mule is a really great resource for things like keychains, for custom tape, for custom packaging, and for all the little promotional items that you might want to throw into your packaging. They're not paying me to say this. They're just a really great resource for brands that are looking for sick keychains, cozies for drinks, and things like that that you can throw into your packages. So I noticed there are always questions on YouTube asking this. Could you please tell me where to get the stamp for poly bags? Where do you get the shipping tape for your brand from? I'm just going to direct you to Sticker Mule because I think that they have the best quality for all of this stuff, and I highly recommend using them for your own brand. Now, really quickly before I answer a whack load more questions, Apparel Success is sponsored by my buds over at design.com. Why is this logo maker tool so sick? You can either make a logo from scratch or upload your own, but the beauty is that after you have your logo, you can turn it into everything that you need inside of your business. Instagram posts, flyers, slips that you include inside of your packages, thank you cards, Instagram Reels templates, TikTok video templates. Your logo will get automatically integrated into all of these templates. Play around with it, try it out for free all of you want. Head over to design.com/apparel success and you can get up to 88% off at checkout. Next question here is from Ornaments Clo. How many designs do you think I should start with? What I recommend for any brand starting out for the first time is that you start with a minimum amount of designs. So don't be thinking big with this. I recommend starting with between 1 to 5 different designs for your brand. There are so many reasons for this. It saves you money. You don't have to invest as much inventory. It lowers the risk. You're not going to be risking all of your money in inventory that may never sell, and it just gets the ball rolling so that you can remain more flexible. It also makes it much easier when it comes to your marketing to promote one product than it is to promote 20 products. So if you've got one really great product or 5 really great products, it's easier to market that than 20. And at the same time, it's much easier to make one really great design than it is to make 10 really great designs and great products. If you can put all of your energy and focus into making the absolute best 1 to 5 products, it'll pay off for you so much better than 20 products where you were just spreading yourself too thin and none of them are absolutely amazing. Oh, this next question's good. Mark McCann, alpha customers, what about paying customers? They work too. What he's referring to here is how I made a video called Why You Need Alpha Customers for Your Clothing Brand. And in it, I talk about how alpha customers are so important in order for you to have the right perception for your brand and in order for you to make sales into the future. And I think Mark McCann, if I were to tell you and answer this question, what I'd say is that it's really hard to get regular paying customers when you don't already have alpha customers, because alpha customers completely change the perception of your brand and it helps you get more paying customers. So the whole point of getting alpha customers is that they assist you in getting paying customers. It's really hard to get those paying customers when you don't have any credibility, you don't have any social proof, and you don't have any really cool people wearing your brand already. Next question's from Bandits and Business. Great video. What do you think of going from making YouTube content to creating a clothing brand? Basically, you take your YouTube audience and sell them merch to promote your content creation. I frickin' love this idea. This is one of the best ways to launch a clothing brand. And this is textbook content marketing. You build up a following on YouTube, you build up a following on TikTok and Instagram, and then you leverage that following to get an audience. And that's really the meat and potatoes of this whole strategy. And the bare bones, if you were to look at it, is you're building leverage first and then leveraging your audience to make sales. Because when you start a clothing brand and you don't have an audience anywhere, you're starting from ground zero and you have absolutely nothing to leverage. This is the perfect next question to answer here. Filming Guy 6623 says, so if I heard right, do more organic social content. This is a nuanced answer here for the intellectuals watching this. Not necessarily. You don't necessarily have to always do organic content. Let's say you've got a brand where Facebook ads or Instagram ads will just be better based on your skill set, what you're used to doing. Maybe you've marketed other businesses before, or just your type of products that you're selling lend themselves more to Facebook ads and Instagram ads than an organic social media approach. Then you don't necessarily have to do organic content in order to market your brand. The best way that I've come to think about this is there are many ways to get to $1 million a year, $5 million a year, $10 million a year in sales. In a similar way, there's many ways to get to the number 10, 5 plus 5, 5 times 2, 7 plus 3, 20 minus 10. There are so many different ways to get to the same result. And just because organic content is a great strategy for the majority of brands doesn't mean that you have to use that strategy for your own brand. If you're creative and you've got your own skill set or something else that you want to do, you can absolutely do that and try to market your brand that way. And if you understand it through and through, there's no reason why you couldn't also get results doing it that way. Kaya Jeds, I think that's how you say that. How do you add value to your brand? This is my wheelhouse. There are 4 main ways to add value to your brand. The first is emotional appeal. If you have a lifestyle brand that's connecting with a certain identity, then amplify the emotional reaction people are going to have when they come across your brand. That's what I did. My brand started out based on the humor here in rural Canada, and as we kept growing, we added value by making it way more funny, way more ridiculous, and way more patriotic. And that was a way of just connecting even deeper with our audience. The second way is through aesthetic. The more that you improve the quality of the designs on your clothing, the more that you improve the cut and the shape, and you improve the aesthetics, the more value you're adding your brand. The third is social status. The more you can increase the sense of social status that people are getting when they wear your brand, the more you're adding value. And you do that through getting your brand associated with famous people, by limiting the supply of certain items, and by increasing the price of your products. Rolex aren't actually worth $60,000 when they make them, but they sell them for that amount because it filters out people who are poor and can't afford it. And the fourth way is through adding utility value to your products. Maybe you have a ski jacket, you want to add a sick pocket where you can add your phone that holds your ski pass or something like that. Now, you don't have to add value in all 4 of these ways for every type of brand, but those are the 4 different types of ways based on the brand that you're running. Victoria Montgomery Mills 6552 asks, where do you source your labels from? When we're making all of the custom labels for our clothing, for our brand, we always would print the label on the neck. So instead of actually making labels for them, it was easier for us to just screen print the labels directly into the garment. And it actually looks really, really clean when you do this. You buy blank clothing, like a really sick all-style hoodie or whatever it is, you tear away the label, and then you print your label inside. So that's the way that we've been doing it for the majority of times. We do have a couple of products like the flannel that we used to sell that had a really cool custom hem label at the bottom that said just give her on one side and K-Bud on the other, but we don't do that regularly for our lifestyle brand, so we'd normally just print the labels. This next question's a really good one. Husi Madels 1021 asks, yo bro, one question. If I make a TikTok video while wearing my hoodie and not directly talk about my brand and that video blows up, will I get sales? I can't give you a 100% guarantee that if your video blows up, you're going to get a whole bunch of sales, because it really depends on what the hell was in the video that you were talking about. Was it entertaining? Could people even make out the hoodie? What was the topic all about? But I will tell you that I have had several videos for my brand that weren't directly about the hoodie that went viral, and we definitely had a major increase in sales as that video was going viral. I believe that the reason why that happens is because while that video is, say, getting like 10,000 views every like 20 minutes and it's starting to blow up on, say, TikTok or Instagram, you're getting a lot of eyeballs just on your profile in general. So a lot of those people will just check out the rest of your content, and if they see that you have a clothing brand, there's a percentage of them that will think it's pretty cool, hopefully, and they'll click on your website link in your bio, they'll go to your website, and hopefully you'll be able to convert there. And that's what was happening for our brand. Like I said, I can't guarantee that that'll always happen, but as long as your profile looks like a clothing brand and you have one video that goes viral, people will check out your profile and hopefully they'll see that and you've got cool products and you'll likely get an increase in sales. Emily Carrillo 8002. What would you recommend when needing to work with a manufacturer? My niche or niche of clothing is not t-shirts. Do I need to get legal documents involved when getting samples? What you could do if you really wanted to is get a contract made really quickly, literally by hopping on ChatGPT. Hop on ChatGPT and ask it to write you a quick contract for a manufacturer to get samples that says that they can't use any of your information or any of your designs. Just use that as a contract just in case, to add an extra layer of security. That's what I would use in terms of the legal documents to protect yourself. And then in terms of communicating your product to the manufacturers overseas, I recommend building something known as a tech pack. If you're not doing t-shirts and you're doing something private label with a lot of customizations, specific measurements, and it's just like a purely custom product, then get a tech pack made. If you obviously don't know how to make a tech pack yourself, go on Fiverr and search people who have the skill of making tech packs. You could probably get a tech pack made for your product in like $50, $60, and it'll be super worth it for you when it comes to communicating your product to manufacturers. Milo 1978. Why has everybody got numbers in their name? Can you give us good examples of brands aligned with a clear concept? Probably the best and easiest example I could give you for this is a brand on the east coast of Canada known as East Coast Lifestyle. Because when they started up their brand was very clear and it was attacking a blue ocean market. And their brand concept that was really clear was that they were resonating with the heart of being on the east coast of Canada. So they were specifically resonating with the identity of living on the east coast, the east coast culture. And what he realized was that people have a really strong sense of identity that live there. And they want to feel that. They want to rock that on their body, since that's what clothing's all about at the end of the day. It's an expression of who you are and what your identity is. And so East Coast Lifestyle is a great example of that, because there was no other clothing brands that were connecting with that. And when he dropped that on the East Coast of Canada, it absolutely went nuts. And so that's the one that I recommend. Julie Brinton 7470, another number name. What is going on here? How do you know if you have the right niche? I don't know how to say that, niche or niche. You know if you have the right niche or niche when you can clearly define it. So what a lot of clothing brands that I've worked with struggle with is that they literally don't know exactly who their target audience is. So if you can't define your target audience, you probably don't have a good niche or good niche to begin with. It should be really easy to define, just like the last question, East Coast Lifestyle, for the folks living on the East Coast of Canada in Nova Scotia, PEI, Newfoundland. It's a very well-defined target audience. And on top of that, in clothing specifically, a really great niche is one that has a very clear identity. So a great niche is one that has a really clear target audience, because if there's a really clear target audience, that means you can define their identity well. And if you can define their identity well, you can create a brand that connects with it well. A no number name. We got Shay Sabag. Great job, man. Why are you not selling on Amazon? Great question. There's a bunch of different reasons we don't sell on Amazon. The first thing is that people just tend to not buy private label clothing brands through Amazon that no one's never heard of. Amazon is a search engine at the end of the day, and very few people are browsing for new lifestyle brands as specific as the one that we sell. And the second reason is that direct to consumer through our website helps build a stronger brand identity, and it helps make our brand a lot more trustworthy. If we're selling our brand in a whole bunch of different random places online or in big like sales channels like Amazon, it just kind of affects the brand image in a weird way, and we just wanted to keep it really tight and private on our website. RachK-DE1FQ sounds like a radio station. Hey, can you explain what is a brand concept, and do you have to stick with one for life? Really good question. A brand concept is essentially, what is your brand all about? Who exactly are you going after? And what is the general idea of your brand? So for my clothing brand, the brand concept is we represent rural Canada. Our whole brand idea is based on creating a brand that connects with the sense of humor and the sense of patriotism of people living in rural Canada. So that would be an example of a brand concept. And your second question is a great one, because no, you don't have to stick with your brand concept for life. Oftentimes it's honestly better to be more flexible in your brand concept than just being rigid and not being willing to change. When we first started up our brand, I've said this a million times, we were going after hockey players, and we eventually after 6 months, realized that our brand wasn't quite for hockey players. It's more so for the rural Canada, more of that country attitude in Canada here, and just the overall sense of humor. And when we switched our brand concept to that, we ended up blowing up our sales and doing way better. So no, you don't have to stick to your brand concept for life. Jasmine Weiss, we're back to the numbers 1097. How many designs did you drop when you first started? How often did you release new things? Did you release new colors on one or a new design? Look, when we first started up our brand, we had no idea what we were doing. But what we did is we released 10 products. We had 2 hats, we had 4 t-shirts and 4 tanks. 2 of the t-shirts and 2 of the tank tops had the exact same design on them, just in black and white. So a black and white tank top and a black and white t-shirt. And then the other 2 t-shirts and other 2 tanks had the other design, black and white and t-shirts and black and white and tanks. And honestly, it was pretty close to what I would do if I were to start up a new private label brand again, but I think I would have just started with less. I probably would have done, 1 or 2 t-shirts and 1 or 2 tank tops instead of 8. How often did you release new things? We released new things basically once every fall and once every spring, because every fall we were starting the winter season here in Canada, so it was a perfect opportunity to drop flannel, to drop hoodies, and then in the spring it was a perfect opportunity to drop trucker hats, tank tops, t-shirts, and anything swim related. Did you release new colors on one or a new design? Yes. A couple of the hoodies that were absolutely smoking and selling like crazy, we released multiple colors. The original Crest logo, we came out with a black hoodie. We ended up selling a burgundy and maroon hoodie that crushed for us. And our Barnyard hoodie, we released as a sort of like green color, and then we also released it in a burgundy color as well. The only issue with offering many different colors is that you have to hold on to all of that inventory if you're not print on demand, and it really adds up. Ayo, Midiadian, yeah. 7016. What is with these YouTube names? How do I come up with creating the products that people want? You come up with creating the products that people want simply by stepping out of your own head and learning about your customer, the people that you're trying to sell to. You have to really study them and understand, how do they talk? What's the slang that they use? What's the style of clothing that they're already wearing and it's already trending in that particular space? Study that. Take some time to research the aesthetics. What are other brands in the space selling, and what are people connecting with already, and what are they currently buying? Understanding your customer is the first step to creating a product that absolutely crushes and goes viral. We have a product called the Hack and Darts hoodie that absolutely took off for us, and it was simply through understanding our target audience on a personal level, on the way that they talk, on the slang that they use here. And when we launched that hoodie, it smashed for us because it connected on such a deep level. There you have it. If you have questions that you still feel need to be answered, write them in the comments below. You know I'll be reading them, and I'll be making another video just like this in the future. Hit the like button if you got a ton of value out of this, and if you want to work closer with me and a community of other clothing brand owners, check out apparelsuccessmastermind.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.